Hello and welcome to UK versus the Winter's Crest Christmas time is over, and we're kind of in that awkward time where time doesn't exist. Like trying to figure out what day it is very weird up until we get to the new year. And yeah, it's been a hell of a week. We've had great reveals, we've had Worlds announcements, we've had Christmas, we've had Critical Role stuff drop, and I finished Campaign 1 of Critical Role as well within 2 months. I am very proud of myself for doing that. And as always, I am joined by Klingon cosplayer extraordinaire, Richard Plumar. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah, as everyone else, just existing in that weird void of between Christmas and New Year. Not really sure what day, time, date, meal it is. Who knows? But yeah, no, it's been a good Christmas. Managed to actually get some practice in yesterday down at the shop, so it was good to sort of jam some games. And then, yeah, I actually need to book stuff for nationals at some point once we decided who's actually going and who's not. But hopefully that will get booked in time. But yeah, good Christmas. Got myself a box of AOT2, which was nice.
I got a card folder off one of Robin's fans. I got a big deck box, like a deck box from my in-laws, and I got a nose hair trimmer from Robin. So that's always fun. But we also got some nice presents from UVS. We got a holiday promo fresh cut grass, which I will be keeping.
Yeah, you say we. You say we, and I this is my time to call out Matlock from UVS Games. Do I not exist to you? We are a twosome. We're not just Brett. Not even not even just the promo. It was not even. But it was a two Brett, not Brett and Richard on the card.
What am I yes, Mitchell. It is the cedar scented one. It smells amazing. I prefer it to the eucalyptus. To be fair, how much interaction do you actually have with Matt and stuff when it comes like that?
Well, it's not my fault he doesn't communicate with me or include me on emails. Like,
no, it's great. I mean, I saw Anna Margaret got one. I saw that a girl called Ron got one. I've been on like Twitter and Blue Sky, making sure people are smelling them and enlightening people to the fact they're actually scented. I made a lot of people on Reddit very jealous in the Critical Role community by posting it, and they were like, "I need one of these." Like, yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah, we did have one at locals that we used as prizing one of our events, and yeah, it smells exactly as expected to.
Yeah, and I mean it's just been absolutely great. And then we also got the solo leveling decks, which I filmed, opened, edited. It should be all ready to go when I feel like dropping it, and I'll get the deck sent out to you because I've got 7 more coming.
Yes, because someone wants to, alt-art the entire thing.
Not wants to, I will do. They've made this quite easy. And I may have to track down one of the other content creators because they pulled an alt-art character. So I am immediately on board to get them down. So how have your holidays been? How was Christmas?
Yeah, it was good. It was pretty chill. We went to the mother-in-law's for dinner. Other than that, yeah, just mainly been vegetating at home. Yeah, pretty chill. Like we went to like Bedgebury on Christmas Eve and saw all the lights there. That was pretty nice. There's obviously over expensive hot chocolate. But yeah, pretty chill, pretty like sleepy Christmas, to be honest.
That's right. I mean, yeah, Christmas Eve, I got a couple of hour break while the mother-in-law and Flynn went to go look at some lights, which was very muddy, and they all got very muddy when they slipped, so I'm quite glad I didn't go. apart from that, not much. I mean, I spent Christmas playing Baldur's Gate 3 because they've got a new shotgun mod, and it just makes the game go so much quicker when you can just shotgun people in the face.
I mean, that feels like it's defeating the objects of the game, but sure.
After like the 6th time of completing it, I wanted to try something new. So, and I saw shotgun. I was like, cool. I started off, and you just start off with a shotgun, and yeah, you just get to one shot everything early game. It's great. I'm so glad they added mods. But the big news that we got throughout the week, apart from the plundering, I mean treasure hunting, was the rest of the world's participation prizing.
Yes. Lots of chromes. Which hopefully, hold some value and are good in the secondary market.
I mean, for top 32, they get the top 32 Storm of Arrows, the top 32. Is that? Yeah, I can't remember which one it was now. Ferocious Attacker, and they get a Cart Titan Chrome, which is still absolutely amazing. And they also get the top 30. They still get the World's Playmat. I'm loving the design of these ones. Top 16.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously they have to keep them reasonably simplistic in terms of obviously not using IP based stuff, I guess. So yeah.
Top 16 then get a more stylized sort of sepia Storm of Arrows and Ferocious Attacker, and a Su Asui Chrome, which I mean, the guys from Patriot have to win one of those for Sean alone.
Yeah. Although I'm assuming it's the same character that's already been chromed.
It's the same character, but it's the same as me when I got the Chrome Dabby top 16. It holds more power behind it.
Yeah.
Then top 8 get a Electric Moth, a Colossus Titan, a Chaco, and a Knott's Flask. And the Knott's Flask is so hyped. It looks so good.
And obviously both Electric Moth and to a greater extent Knott's Flask are like very playable cards. So, hopefully those Knott's Flask will be, sought on the open market and therefore have value. Like someone either whether that's a collector or someone like Mike wanting to get his 4 very, very shiny copies of them,
It'll be very hard to get a 4 when there's only 8 in existence.
I'm sure someone, and by that I mean Mike, will make an attempt to.
Because when you get to top 4, the play mat becomes inverted. You get the golden worlds and wording, and then you get the black mat. You get a Momo Chrome. You get is it Armin? No, female Titan Chrome. A Knott's Flask, more sepia Chrome, and
I assume that's Electric Moth again, but just a different, coloration of it.
Yeah. That's more of a purplized Electric Moth. Very cool. It's good. I mean, the only way to get a playset of... You can't even get a playset of these Knott's Flasks. There's only going to be 2, really.
Well, of those ones, yeah. The other ones, I guess there's only going to be 4 of them. And then these ones, in theory, there's only 2, unless, like, the...
No, because when you move on to the second place or finalist ones, you get a Mirko Chrome, an Armored Titan Chrome, a more zoomed in silvery Knott's Flask, and I think that's a more black and white sort of chromy, kind of like Attack on Titan Pearl Electric Moth.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the champ not only gets to design a card, it doesn't say character card anymore, it says design a card, which I think is very cool.
I'm assuming most people will pick a character card, but maybe they essentially leave the window open and say, like, if let's say someone wins it and they're like, I really want to put an asset in, they'll be like, cool, let's design an asset. Like,
give me a backup. Just get
yeah.
Put me in, because I guess you could also put yourself in as like a shift card and stuff as well. And then the winner, like I said, gets to design a card, gets 2 cases of Critical Role. As other people, we get, I think finalists get 8, top 4 get a case and stuff. and that gets one of each of the Girl Power Chromes, one of each of the Attack on Titan Origins of Power and Battle for Humanity Chromes, as well as some amazing Godzilla chromified cards, including the amazing character card that people were after.
Yeah, the Godzilla. I mean, that one in theory will probably sell to a collector, right? Assuming the winner wants to sell it, right? In theory, that
There's
would
19 cards there. For Chrome goes for about 400, say. Even if a Champ Chrome only goes for 100 more, you're talking about 10 grand's worth of prize in there.
Oh yeah, the Champ Godzilla. If they wanted to sell it, they could probably sell it for a fair chunk.
Oh, if they go for a grand a piece, you've got 19 grand's worth of prize in there. And that's this is on the low end of speculation. These Champ cards could easily go for double that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the lower level chromes might not have the demand, but certainly like the Godzilla one, like I'm sure if whoever wins it said it's for sale for £2,000, right? Someone would buy it.
Yeah,
so I'd imagine they could get more than that for it.
These are a great collector's piece. The chromes alone, like you said, are absolute beasts. Everyone who's seen that Godzilla,
that's a wound restore, isn't it? That's not a Knots Flask. That's wound restore.
That's wound restore that they get for winning the finals.
Yeah,
which is a great card in itself.
I would want the Knots Flask. Like, wound restore is cool, but I love me a Knots Flask.
I'd actually want to mark your prey. It starts out in play, so you're always going to have it in your discard.
Yeah, and also, like, quite often you will just play the one because you always have it, right?
Yeah, so it's a card that's going to consistently keep popping back up. So Mark Your Prey is very good, and we've just dropped a video about Mark Your Prey and some of the other cards that were in Vexalia that are actually amazing design choices. Like the fact you can actually forget to respond with Mark Your Prey at the beginning of your turn. It's not a static. Very good in like Critical Role Campaign 1 because
you could do that with Razorhead, right?
But Vexalia constantly forgot to do Mark their prey before they attacked. They forgot to add the damage. It was great synergy to see you can forget Mark Your Prey because Vexalia or Laura Bailey constantly kept forgetting to do it themselves.
I didn't say Wound Restore is mid. I think Wound Restore is good in the right circumstances. I think it doesn't go in every deck. I just think Knots Flask is a banger, so that's why I just want that over Wound Restore.
I mean, it's a great one. We also saw that the World's Wall Prize, the prize wall at Worlds was announced, and there's going to be a double-sized Mirko. That is going to fly out.
Mm-hmm.
Double-sized Mirko is just going to get hit. I know people are probably just tempted to go to Worlds just to get the double-sized Mirko.
Well, I believe they've had to limit the spaces on the Worlds Festival just because of location. So obviously, if people are wanting to go, they should hurry up and get their tickets. Obviously, support Sean and UVS.
It's limited to 100. Fuck.
Yeah, I think they had to limit it to 100 just because of the venue.
Is that? I imagine that's excluding the 64 Worlds participants, right?
Yeah, no, this is I believe just for the festival.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you won't buy a ticket to the festival if you're taking part in Worlds because
no. As far as I'm aware, it's just for those. It's effectively an extra 100 on top.
That's going to be really awkward because most people won't even know. Like internationally, we won't know if we're going to Worlds until 2 weeks beforehand.
Yep. It's a problem, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, nothing we can really do about. But
yeah, it was always the case with the way it's been scheduled. But
compared to last year, this is a massive improvement to pricing.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, obviously, they can't do cash, right? And that's part of the problem. Is that ideally you'd love to walk away with like the Broberg monies of the world, but you can't.
It's a great alternative. You're basically saying, here's 10 to 20 card, 20. Here's 10 to 20 grand.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and like you walk away with a whole bunch of the new product, right? That hasn't been released, so that's always a nice thing. Like even just like what top 32 gets 2 boxes. I think participation you get 1 box, right?
Yeah, just for showing up, you get 1 box of Heroes of Alexandria or Ho, as I'm going to be calling it. You get a box of Ho a month early.
Mm-hmm. Well, it might be a case of I don't know whether they'll give it. I mean, I'm assuming they'll give it to you on site. But you have won it. PS will mail it to you on release date. I don't know.
That's way too expensive. You walk in and they're like, here's your play mat, here's your box. Like what happened last year at Worlds when we got the Jetburn stuff. It was like we walked in and
did you get Jet? Was it early as again?
No, Jetburn. I was expecting Yu Hakusho and Austin when I went to Worlds this year, but it was a box of Jetburn and. Right. It was hilarious because Philip went from Austria, and I think he pulled 3 SRs in his World's participation box. And I think he got a Luna and an XR Luna in that box as well. So, yeah. Top 64 get a box of Heroes of Alexandria early, and that is worth going along. Getting to see these cards, getting to see the boss battles, getting to experience the cards a month early is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Obviously, those people that get the early product get to corner the market on that stuff and sort of, demand what they want for them because nobody else has it if they want to sell the product. So, but yeah, it looks really cool. Like I think obviously, there's 2 big prizes here. It's the designer card, the greatest prize in gaming. And also that Godzilla, right? I think that's the one everyone's got their eyes on is that Godzilla promo.
The Godzilla promo seems to be one that everyone's definitely after, and the only way to get there is either through points or through topping at Nats.
Yes, so obviously the Nats points counts towards your at large placings in terms of points, but obviously the seasonal stuff isn't anymore. And then, just top 18 Nats. So, I don't know who's in that top 5 UK wise.
Top 5 UK wise is a very weird one. I know I've been talking with Mike about it because we're trying to figure out who's actually likely to get in. So if I go to Europe. So Mike's first with 144 points, but he's already qualified, so he doesn't count. Yep. Then we have Jonathan Yates, Benjamin Martin, Rocco, Greg Moss. Greg doesn't count, so the 6th and 7th would be Liam Chana and Kevin T. No idea who Kevin T is.
No, but either he's done a lot of grinding or has done well at some events, but
must have done a lot of grinding in the social in the other events. Basically, that's the 74 is the amount of points you could probably get if you basically won all your local qualifiers and star championships. That's what I was aiming for before, like July, when I kind of just started losing them all. And this season, my local stars never happened. They were going to try and rearrange them, and then the store closed. So. There was no season 4 for me.
Fair.
Now, the chances are, going off Jonathan's win ratings and going off Ben's win ratings, and even Rocco's, chances are they're going to top Nats. Liam is returning champion, so and then after that is Luke Quincy, Nathan James. So, like the top 10 EU leaderboard could possibly top 8 Nats. So the invites could quite easily pass down. I think when I was talking with some of the players, they were saying if you're in the top 16 players, there's a chance that you'll qualified to Nats.
Yeah, as long as you probably get some points at Nats, right? Because they do count towards your points totals, I think, right? Or is it not? Is
I
it, do you not get
don't know. We have to double check that with Josh. But yeah, I mean, I was hoping to get some points in season 4 after I found out they counted. But I'm currently sat at 11th with 45. My point total hasn't changed since regionals.
Season 4 don't count. It might be a case of the rankings is wrong or whatever. Because we were told they shouldn't count, right?
Seasons 4 count.
We were told they didn't.
No, we were told initially they didn't, but they were just then going to go into the void. So they basically said there's no point in having points that just go into the void. So the points for season 4 counted towards this season.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sat at 17th. I didn't realise I was that high.
Yeah, you're 17th. We got Nathan Squire, who's been judging, who's on 47 at 10th. We got Connor, who's on with 34 14th. And Mike's just Jonathan, Ben are completely dwarfing people in points, but they have been travelling around to get these points.
Yeah. We got Harry at 20th. One of our locals. Yeah, just having a little scroll through. Yeah, okay.
I haven't played in locals since local qualifier since July, and I've somehow maintained my position at I was in top 5 for so long, and then July hit, and I got 27th at regionals. Couldn't take part in any more local qualifiers. I got 9th at the last regional, so I didn't really get any points for that. So I don't know how I'm still at the top 11.
Well, I mean, I think I've made 17th, and that's without any sort of regionals or much in the way of travelling. Yeah. So
it's just it's a great testament to the fact that the more stores you have nearer, the more you can travel, the more points you can accumulate. Because if you look at Kevin T at 7th place with 74 points, they've not topped our regionals. They've not. I don't think they've been to regionals that I'm aware of, and they're currently 7th because they've been able to top a lot of events. Liam hasn't had the best run this year in terms of regionals, but is still at 75. Jonathan's done absolutely amazing at regionals. Mike won a regional, but even before that, Mike was guaranteed to get towards. If you live in the north, if you live in the northeast of England, you can acquire a lot of points. Look at Nathan Squire, 47 points, has judged all the regionals and is in is at 10th place.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at realistically at top 10, but yeah, it depends on how many of those guys end up top cutting nationals, right? So yeah, we'll just have to see how it shakes out at the end.
Yeah, and Mike won't be taking part in nationals, but if Greg or anyone or Sam, if they take part in nationals, if they top, the invite will pass down during the event. So if you get 9th place and Greg makes it into top 8, 9th place will also get an invite. It won't pass down to the American or they won't go to the last chance qualifiers. So I like that. I think that's very cool.
Yeah, the auto spots from nationals should pass down, really.
They'll pass down for Nats. Yeah, the ones for the list won't.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame, but it's understandable. I'm not confident this year. I mean, since June, I've not been confident in how I'm doing events. I don't know how I got 9th last time, so I'm not confident going in this time. But it would be very nice to make it to Worlds and be one of the only people to go 3 times.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I haven't particularly been grinding, right? I've just been playing my locals. So, I guess that shows you what you can do if you put a little bit of effort in. Is that I'm sort of, what was it, 17th, 16th, something like that. And I've just been playing my locals events. That's it.
You went to one regionals as well.
I went to one regionals early in the year, and I don't think I did very well. Can't remember now.
That's because you didn't play Younger to Go. You should have joined the cool kids.
No, Achako was far cooler. But I went to the Younger to Go event. That was it. But Yeah, so just probably a couple of points from that, and then the rest of it is just playing locals.
Yeah,
So
it's a great testament as to how many points you can get if you've got
mm,
regular play and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that Critical Role does get more stores involved. When I got the Fresh Cut Grass promo, I posted on Reddit, and there was a lot of people just asking how they can get a hold of it. I was like, go talk to your local game store. This was sent to local game stores, it was sent to content creators. So go talk to your local game store, get them interested in the game. That's a great way to get a hold of promos like this.
yeah, yeah, we had ours. We used it for our Earth v Air event.
I'm surprised Gary just didn't keep it because he's a big Fresh Cut Grass fan.
No, no, no. I mean, I think he did actually win, and then ended up giving it to one of the guys who just really, really wanted it um, locally. Yeah, we did our Air v Earth, so working our way through the pairs, which was fun.
So, what are you thinking for Nats?
Deck wise,
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, I've been sort of waffling, to be honest. I just, I thought I was just be playing Emir for the longest time, and I really like the deck. It just feels very squishy sometimes, and I think especially in a world of like determined advances, which I think is one of those cards that is one of those defining cards of the meta at the moment. Like it does have some answers in things like vast strength, but I don't know. I'm not totally feeling him here. And then yesterday, I figured I put a couple of other decks together. So I put Godzilla together and just hated it. It's just not me. I didn't enjoy playing Godzilla. And then I played Bert 2, and I know he's sort of the boogeyman of the format, but I fucking loved it. Like, I don't think it was fun for my opponents opposite me, but playing as it, I think, was a lot of fun and just felt really powerful. Sort of everything I think everyone's said about him. And like traditionally, I hate five-handers, and like he felt anything but a five-hander. Sometimes on turn one, sure, you felt a bit five-handery. There was the odd turn where, like, I had a grey hand. That you do run into those five-hand problems sometimes, but most of the time, you just as long as you hit one attack, like you just cycle. And most of the time, I was just killing people without flipping. You didn't need to, because being able to loot two and give two damage on every attack, and because you're playing like things like Wish Guard, because you're playing oh god, the fire foundation that cycles. That name escapes me.
My foundation has cycles.
The one that lets you draw when you discard it.
Oh, Fell Shriek?
Feral Chic, yes. And also all like the casino pieces that when you discard it for damage or to seal stuff, like you're drawing two, discarding two, getting two damage, or reducing two damage and getting all these other effects from discarding stuff. Yeah, you just don't feel like a five-hander, and then all of your attacks just aren't really fair. Like tray size isn't fair if you get to put damage on it, really. Like Colossus Swap sort of isn't fair because it's just giving you loads of resource advantage for the turn. A lot there's the two check that I love and everyone was trashing on, and I don't get it because it feels like a busted card, and very deserving of the two check. Lethal Slash. Because it just draws you a card, clears itself, you put damage on it, they have to deal with it, right? I mean, probably the one weakness to it is if your opponent's running Showdown, and obviously it runs a two check, so you can't play so many three divs in the thing. So things like Invincible Body, you don't necessarily get to play too much. But yeah, Lethal Slash felt great. Like Attack Times Haymaker isn't a fair card. Besiege isn't remotely a fair card. And like one of the MVPs in the deck I found was the 3 Diff Foundation Sacrifice for the Cause, which is so good. Either discarding things like Feral Shrieks and stuff for value for damage on your turn for like extra value, or just there were multiple times where my opponent was like using things like a broken psyche or Hanji's Four Eyes' ability of minus damage, and you just be able to say, no, actually, you need to interact with this one even more. Yeah. Obviously, it was like a first draft and mainly built to sort of test against. But having played it, I'm like, I think I want to be the boogeyman. He felt very good. Like the only other one I'd possibly consider would be something like Rodan. I think probably on all, specifically because you get vast strength to deal with a determined advance, which I think is just like I think if you want to play a defensive, squishy seven-hander character, you need answers to determined advance. But I think that's a deck that I think I'd need a lot more practice with and to tune the list, and I don't think I'll get that done in time.
Yeah, so is it 3 weeks now?
Yeah, so it's probably Emir or Bert too, I think, at the moment. I think the other, like, I think you're going to see plenty of Emirs. Obviously, there's going to be loads of Godzillas. There's going to be Mimics, I think, aplenty. There's obviously going to be loads of Bert 2s. I think, like, it's a format going into where you need to know how you're dealing with someone playing determined advance. Like, I think that's why that card was like spiked and like stupid.
Yeah,
like 60 years.
There's someone trying to sell it for 100 on TCG Play right now.
Yeah, and if people need them for nationals, they might play it, but it is the card, or it is the hotness at the moment, right?
Oh yeah, it's a 6/9 that you can't reduce the speed of, so you're forcing your opponent to commit down in Godzilla.
Yeah, which is why you want answers to it, right? And that's why Vast Strength is one of the cleanest ones that does it, and just lets you interact with it and stops them gaining the momentum. So, like, I think, yeah, you need answers time in advance. I think obviously Mimic's very strong, so I think
I have a video coming out on this as well. I think we're going to see the return of Overhaul.
I mean, quite possibly. I think Overhaul's very good. I think some sort of anyone that does the sort of anti-asset stuff. So lists that are playing Kraken. So I think Godzilla's probably decent enough into Mirek just because everything's potato. He does a lot of damage, and
I've been playing a bit of Mimic in the main deck league. I'm currently undefeated against Godzilla.
Okay.
And I've 2-0'd every Godzilla I've gone against, even going second. I was playing against Blaine, who plays in the webcam events, and they thought they could slow me down by using the Godzilla form, and I literally went, we don't have enough foundations. He's like, what? Yeah. I was like, you have 5, I have 4. We don't have enough foundations for you to form. He's like, oh. I was like, yeah. Mimic, as we saw from the webcam circuit, Mimic is very unfair at the minute in the way that they play, but a hot Godzilla draw, like what Connor's playing, that can just turn you off the amount of determined advances you can get is very strong. It's one of those things that a game is either going to end on turn 4 or is going to go on till turn 60.
Yeah, again, like having access to, say, 4 main deck Krakens is going to be useful in that matchup. Like I think probably as Bert 2, I'd consider putting like just 4 Lunar Rings in my sideboard, right? Just because as a way of blowing up those key pieces on Mimic's board.
Yeah, asset. You always need decent asset hate, but just like Godzilla got determined advance, and how Ymir got a lot more life gain. Soup for Mimic is nuts. If you're going first, you just go Soup, build it down. I can now pretty much play my entire hand because I have a foundation in play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Soup's a big deal there. The
Cerritos and Gambit is just beautiful. Cerritos, I undervalued it, and I've been playing it, and I now highly rate Cerritos. to the
I mean,
point.
we always said it was really good, right?
Yeah.
In when we sort of reviewed the decks and went through the spoilers and stuff, like the Cerritos is a very, very powerful asset, right?
If you can get it down.
What it does is cheating. You just need to be able to pass a 60th asset. That's the sort of entry, the barrier.
And
to
that's
entry
where
there.
Mimic kind of gets to abuse it a bit, because Mimic gets to go here, Cerritos on a 6, check a 5, commit a foundation, Dangerous Gambit on a 5, check a 5, ready the asset I use to pass Cerritos, build in Cerritos, resolve my attack, form, guarantee my next check, get another attack in hand, and put some into the bottom of my deck.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's other like ways of like cheat building it.
Not too many ways to cheat in assets outside that share symbols with Cerritos. You can use things like Desperate Plea. If you block it, you get to build it in. But you need to have a life character that shares symbols with them.
Yeah, I guess Shocking Entrance just picks it up, right? It doesn't actually build it from discard.
Shocking Entrance lets you pick it up. I didn't know that Desperate Plea was any card. I thought it was just Foundations. And then I played against Novahall, who went block Twisty Surroundings, build in Twisty Surroundings face up. I was like, oh yeah, Desperate Plea is nuts.
Yeah. But yeah, as I said, I think Mimic's obviously going to be one of those pillars of the format. I think Hanji is really good. I think Hanji is going to be one of the better aggro decks. Probably one of the better uses.
I think Hanji's a bit too squishy.
Yes, but also Hanji can just blow you up onto. Like, again, my local's sort of been playing it a lot and just uses that combined firepower sort of casino package really, really well. Puts so much damage on stuff, and like just being able to commit for -3 is really powerful. Like sometimes you blow up your stage a bit, but like that's fine because you're getting value out of doing so, whether that's from like enormous axe or again the casino pieces in your stage.
I've tried Hanji. I tried the list that James played in the webcam circuit and the charity event we did, and they did do amazingly, but Mike just kind of blew him out the water with Godzilla.
Yeah, like I think Hanji can get blown up, right? But I think Hanji is very good and something again to sort of be prepared for. I think can lose to each other, right?
Yeah, I might run 4-check Dabby back. He got me to 9th. People weren't really prepared for it, and with Smiling Titan getting hit with the nerf, people are going to be expecting it less.
Yeah, and I think like Pony's another one of those really strong aggro decks to be sort of watching out for.
Yeah, I mean, Tam's just played Pony in the webcam event that they did a couple weeks back. Pony is a solid one.
Yeah, and beast summoning sort of, generally isn't fair when you're doing beast summoning things like.
And speaking of beast summoning, there is also Big Cat. We've seen Rocco top high up in points, done really well with Big Cat repeatedly. Big Cat with their massive 38 health and just ability to flip your entire board and say die is very, very powerful.
Yeah. I guess so. I'm just looking at through Mimic lists in terms of how do they deal with a big boom, right? In terms of like a 20 speed, 20 damage. I suppose Cape is their answer.
You don't get to play a 20 speed, 20 damage attack against Mimic because you have no foundations.
Sure. There, obviously you can do like obviously maybe not so much as Deku because you don't get to go that long that you need to, but there are certainly characters. That
I'm not going to go into the list because one is not my list, and two, you can easily stop true 100%. You can easily stop Deku Quirks Unleashed with the big speed and big damage because there is one card that was printed that just lets you go. It doesn't matter. It does not matter how much you pump this attack. I'm not dying to it. And it's not Cape. It's not anything like that. There are ways around it, but I'm not getting into it. But I need to pick up some more of it because I only currently own one. I never thought I'd actually play this card, but if I'm going to play Mimic at regionals, I need to get at least 2 more.
Okay.
I have been testing with Cameron some Elder to Go lists, which have been really fun because you get to use things like Villainous Teamwork. And if you get to play against Mimic or anyone that's running assets with Villainous Teamwork, you just turn that into a health gain engine.
Okay. So I'm just scrolling through some recent Mimic lists, trying to work out what cards you're talking about.
Spend no momentum, heal or damage done. You can't do that with Mimic, unfortunately, because Mimic doesn't have life. But we're here to wrap up 2024, and how has your 2024 been with the game? How has Universus and UVS been for us? Because we, unlike your average player, or even your average content creator, we've had a bit of a strange year, and even on my side, I think there's only really David Toombs in terms of content creators that's had a year similar to mine with Worlds, the Summit, and everything else going on.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously I've probably not engaged as much with, I guess, the competitive level players I'd have liked. Like, I'd like to win some more regionals. But that's what saving for a wedding does for you, right? But certainly at local level, it's been a lot of fun. I think there's been some sort of things with the game. Like, I think AOT has been obviously a mixed bag. I think there's obviously been issues with that. I think
AOT
sort of went through a lot last, in our recap video last couple of weeks. But other than that, I think locals in general has been a lot of fun. I think certainly the last regional, although I didn't get to go, I was really, really proud of the way the local guys sort of did. And obviously Yash came, I'm not trying to borrow into my hoodie. Obviously came fourth or third, I think maybe. But yeah, he obviously did really, really well. Really proud of him. And, I was really happy with the work we did prior to that of just brainstorming everyone's list, and everyone else was sort of pretty close. So that was really, really good. Locals always have been a lot of fun, I think. Some of the most fun events we've had locally actually have been the symbol events we've been doing. So we've been working our way through the diametrically opposed symbols. So obviously we started off with good versus evil, and then we did fire, water. We've done earth, air, and I think our next one is going to be death and life. But obviously these we've done as set 1 onwards, so you can play with set 1 characters. So it's been a lot of fun to go back and play with those old cards and play with those old characters that I really enjoyed, like Tokiyami, like Jiro. Like the last event I did, Sato won and Muriel on air, and got to play with Pillar Swing, although I didn't do very well with it. But yeah, it's been those events I think everyone's really enjoyed and have been a lot of fun. Like the game itself, I think is still good. I still really enjoy playing it. I still enjoy playing locals. But yeah, I think with a lot of the things we've talked about, like I said, the previous 2 episodes, in terms of the AOT, I think hasn't really been particularly well received locally. I think the challenger decks are coming out too much, and so that is a concern with that product overload side of it. But certainly from a local perspective, I think we're still going strong. We got a couple of new people. We had one person that dropped from after AOT, sadly. Just didn't like the idea of it, so just stopped playing from that point. But we did get a couple of new guys come in, one of which I think is going to nationals, which would be cool, because they got their invite from we did the lower decks challenger event.
Speaking of which, did you see the update that Sean dropped over the weekend?
I did not. If it was on social media, I don't pay too much attention to it.
So instead of like last year's nationals, where they did 3 fire tournaments where people showed up and they played, and the winner walked away with an invite for Nats, they're going to be doing 1 all-day event on the Friday. Anyone's welcome to play. It's £15, and you get a prize wall ticket for entering. and then you get one prize wall ticket per win for the event, and anyone who shows up to that event gets a Nats invite.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I think with these regionals, Nats, big events, don't gatekeep them. Don't make. Don't again. I think that's something that they're going away with next year, and rightly so. I think the localized, regionalized events, don't gatekeep them. Gatekeep, have like worlds and stuff, have that entry procedure. Sure, should be the best of the
I
best.
mean,
and
it's
stuff.
not. It's not even a real gatekeeping to worlds. I think they said on Tam's stream, it is confirmed it's going to be 50 points. How you get 50 points?
You have to earn that, right? So there is a certain amount of an engagement with the competitive procedure you have to do to qualify for worlds. Yeah. I think if you just want to just show up and play at regionals or nationals, you should be just able to. I think putting those through and reducing the availability of numbers for those events, I think was always foolish.
Yeah, and I think with the size of our events, there's no really any point gatekeeping our nationals. It's not like in the US like last year where they had 400 people show up. We'd be lucky if we hit 100, and the last time we went over 100, we had a lot of European players come out.
Yeah,
and we've seen a sort of steady decline of European players coming out. Hopefully, we will see them come out for Nats because they haven't really come out since the beginning of the year. And this is their only chance to get to Worlds, so that'll be absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to say. With them hopefully getting a regionals in mainland Europe next year, that'd be great.
Yeah, hopefully, again, I think a lot of that's going to depend on TOs, right? But yeah, so that's sort of, I guess, the game side of it. I guess on the content side of it, I think it's been a pretty good year, for the stuff we've put out. I think we've been pretty consistent in terms of the number of, we've obviously missed the odd week here and there, but we've podcasted pretty much every week. Obviously, we were very privileged to be part of the summit, and that was really good. That was a lot, really helpful, I think, in sort of building that relationship with UVS Games. I think some of the stuff we've put out, whether that's the reveals for the lower decks and stuff, I think those have been a lot of fun. And we've done the usual box openings and stuff between us. We've done a lot of deck profiles. Obviously, I just let you do your crazy theory videos on your own. That's your bag. But yeah, I mean, I think content wise, we've had a lot of guests on here over the course of the year, and I think that's been really good. I think having those other voices, especially from across the pond, has been useful. And especially people like Cam and Tim and Connor and stuff from the Jobbers, always been sort of great guests to have on. So yeah, I think content wise, it's been a really good year, and obviously hope to continue next year.
Yeah, I mean, content wise, it kind of really did kick off after the summit because we were doing we're still doing the weekly pod. And we had our 1 year anniversary in May, and after that, I started kicking up the content a little bit. But after the summit, I stopped trying to copy other people with gameplay and deck profiles as much, and more just really going in on the content I wanted to make, which is my crazy theories and stuff like that. And I mean,
that's what you should do, right? That's that as a content creator, that's what you should do. The shit you enjoy, or else there's sort of no point. Clearly, we're not making a living out of this. We're not Mr. Beast or whatever the fuck, right? This is something we do as a sort of passion project. So if you're doing shit you're not passionate about, you're just going to burn out, right? Obviously, Tam sort of almost has to do the sort of again, I would try to say this in a way that doesn't sound like I'm sort of denigrating him, because that's not the sort of what I mean by it. But he almost has to kind of do the stuff people expect, because he does stream and content create as a living. And it's great that he gets to do that, and he has that following to do that, right? And so he almost sometimes doesn't have that time to do the wacky stuff that doesn't necessarily bring in the big bucks, so to speak, right? Whereas we're not doing this as a living. We do this as a fun thing.
I mean,
So
I would love to get to the point where I could make it.
Yeah, exactly. That would be great. And if people want to keep clicking those like, comment, subscribe, getting everyone sharing, all that bollocks, come and join the stream, come and watch all the videos. Perfect. But yeah, I don't think we're quite there yet.
No, I was hoping we'd hit 300 YouTube subscribers before the end of the year, because we hit 200 earlier on in the year, and then after the summit we're currently at 291, so we've still got some time.
Okay, I don't think we've got like 2 days. So
2 days to get 9 subscribers. Not impossible, but we'll see. 500 is the goal to start getting monetized, which is
okay.
Cool. But then I kind of have to be a bit more careful with thumbnails and stuff that I use, because I can get away with it in the minute because we're not monetized.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, for me, I had Worlds last January, which was amazing. Getting to go to Florida, got to hang out with American friends, got to see Broberg again, got to see Tim, got to see all the judges, got to see Jelly and Lenoco, and got to meet Zena Robinson, which my partner is still jealous about to this day.
I mean, I'm assuming Robin has met Zena, right?
No.
Oh,
Robin has not met Zena Robinson, because the one convention Zena Robinson came to the UK to do, Robin was out of the country for. So Robin has not had the opportunity to meet Zena Robinson, and I have, and I get that held over me. But I mean, they're on speaking terms with Alec Lee, the voice actor for Sung Jin Woo. So they easily beat me when it comes to content.
Yeah.
I mean, but no, we had the Wish tournament in February. I had a great time with that. I do miss webcam play.
I think with the Wish tournament, I think it was an awesome event. Obviously, it's got the dark cloud hanging over it, but I think in terms of the event itself, I think it was a great idea, and I'd love them to be able to do stuff like that more.
My favourite event of the year was in March, when because my birthday fell on a Tuesday, I very nicely asked Sean if we could do a League of Villains Tuesday event. Sean was great enough to go, if people don't mind you taking over it for one, you can do a League of Villains. And then Sean sort of did the old sneaky double cross and said that they had to have the League of Villains trait.
And I'm still bitter about that.
Yep, so I couldn't play Dabby 1.
Yeah. I was going to play Stormblade's Dabby 1, but I wasn't allowed.
No. Because you have to have the League of Villains. You couldn't just be a villain. No, I had to have the League of Villains trait. And I got sneakily double crossed for my own idea. But that was cool. And I mean, like you said, content-wise, we've got to speak to Zoe. We've got to speak to William, who won the winter warm-up last year, who's now on the playtesting team. We got to speak to Josh before the exclusive interview with Tam, which is a weird use of the word exclusive, but we're not salty about that.
No.
We're already looking at getting interviews lined up for next year with people like Hitch. Been great getting to meet other content creators and getting to chat with people. Just the summit alone, I'm really hoping that when the next summit happens, we get more content creators, we get more people out there, so we can have even more. We can do even bigger crossover episode. Because for people who aren't aware, at the summit we did get everyone together for a crossover episode, which was recorded by myself and Tam, and they are available. It is available up on YouTube. And having
that was one of the better parts, obviously, of the summit was getting out to hang out with people like Ty and Tim and Tam, and Richard A, and God, I'm trying to remember the other guys there. Obviously,
Evan,
main deck, and David. And obviously all the UVS guys, and it'll be great to be able to do something like that again, because I think for how much I don't think AOT was a success, personally, I still think there was a lot of value in doing that summit in terms of having that engagement, that two-way sort of communication. I think that if UVS can sort of continue that and sort of build upon that and work upon it going into next year, I think that'll be great. So yeah, hopefully there'll be another one.
The summit was great because
Matlock better remember why I exist and not just invite Euros again. I'll be bitter.
I think only one of us really could attend next time, because if they set that present, they have to invite all of the dobbers, all of response on play. It gets very. I guess it depends on how big and how they handle it. I love Matt. I'm sure Matt, when he's taking a break from Marvel Rivals, as they're currently off at the minute, is coming up with some great ideas. I know he's working really hard for Critical Role. It's great to see how passionate he is, and I get to have chats with him about Critical Role because, like I said, I'm currently catching up. I also figured out their name before we got introduced, which I'm very proud of myself for. But that's a whole other thing. But the summit for me was great because it sparked me to make the content I wanted to make. When actually talking with them and listening to UVS, and it's like we just don't want hearing the thing of we don't just want deck lists and plays and how to play. They want that stuff, but they also want. It was kind of like criticize us, but don't attack us. Just make the content you want to make and like talk with us, work with us, and it was a great investment in us as community, as content creators, and especially for ourselves at the time where we were tiny content creators. I mean, now we have grown essentially 100% compared to the summit. We've doubled all of our statistics since then.
So that's fair play. Like a lot of that work is on you, right?
I mean, I've got the time to do it though.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. Obviously, you have all the crazy theory stuff, and I'm.
You say crazy theory, but I said that Tendi were Mistress of the Winter Constellation being lower decks, and she was. I said Anna Ripley would be one of the bosses. No, I said Kovac would be one of the bosses in there, and Orphax. I said Orphax would be one of the boss cards, and he was. My theories are not crazy if they're correct.
Look, a stopped clock is right twice a day,
Look, if the bosses are playable as characters in the next set, then that's 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
My theories are getting increasingly more wild.
But yeah, so like I guess it depends on largely what the plans are for next year for UVS games and sort of going forward. And I imagine there's obviously stuff on the schedule they haven't quite announced, and sort of I guess
it is a bit wild. They haven't announced challenges yet because this time last year we had all the challenges. We had all but Star Trek announced. We had essentially 7 of the challenge. Yeah, 7 of the challenges announced.
Yeah,
and we've had nothing. So maybe they are looking at coming back a little bit, like easing up on that.
Maybe, and I think that's sensible. Like maybe they had say 6 or 7 lined up for next year, and they've had feedback from players and retailers saying these aren't selling as much as you want, and maybe they're thinking, okay, well, we're going to do 6, 7 next year. Maybe we'll do 4 or 5, and then we'll roll those others into the next year after that, and therefore maybe not have to worry about designing those extra products and stuff. So maybe they are sort of having a thought. Or there's another reason, right?
As for AOT1, I think AOT1 suffers from the Crimson Rampage curse. Crimson Rampage is a very good set. It's got some great cards, some very powerful cards but the entire set gets overpowered, gets overshadowed by set 1. It gets overshadowed by the power that was in set 1 compared to set 2, and of the rumors that it was nerfed down and watered down because of set 1. And I think AOT1 suffers the same thing because it's not Yu Hakusho. And because of its size, people get exposed to a lot more chaff and a lot more limited and sealed rares than the powerful standard cards. Risky Encounter got banned ridiculously quickly in AOT1. I think AOT1 has got some bangers. It's still got Myths of Despair.
Oh yeah, and that's it. I'm not saying AOT1 is completely that merit, right? I mean, obviously, like I say, Determined Advance is like a $60 card right now, right? But I think my issues with AOT1 aren't really a power level one to an extent. It's the size of the set. I'm not really a fan of Blitz. I'm still undecided on whether Attuned is good in the long run or not.
Attuned is fine. Attuned, I think everyone's come to the conclusion Attuned is fine. Blitz, people are still on the fence for.
I'm still undecided as to whether 4-check attacks are healthy for the game. I think it was a cool. Again, a lot of these things, I think it was correct to try. I think maybe they did a little too much in AOT1, and maybe that's the problem. Is that some of these things would have been more palatable or worked better if they'd introduced them bit by bit. But yeah, it's tricky to know because I'm not a game designer, right? What the correct answer is, and a lot of it is not necessarily a case of I'm saying they fucked everything up and they've done a hugely bad job. It's sort of more from my personal kind of preferences and the way I feel about it, and part of that is also coloured by conversations with locals. Certainly, some of the sorts of conversations I've had at locals is they're feeling a bit that the game's a bit more multiplayer solitaire, where there's a lot of interaction that seems to have been lost, and it's just sort of playing at each other rather than playing with each other.
Yeah.
Similar to the like the sort of Tokiyami and sort of Jiro days where Tokiyami would just draw a hand and be like, well, maybe you're going to do something, but it just doesn't matter because I'm just going to go orange card, blue card until you're dead, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of that of it. It feels a bit uninteractive. I mean, it might be a case of that's just perception overweighing reality to an extent of maybe some of the outliers and some of the sort of card outliers. But like sometimes it's just when someone hits that kind of casino-y, I'm going to chain 3 combined firepowers and then 6 different remove from game effects on those things. It's like, well, good, I didn't get to interact with any of that, and you just stacked loads of stats and stuff.
Yeah, the worst kind of games are the ones that you don't get to play. One of the reasons I love Universus and I've stuck with it as long as I have, because after I stopped playing Magic, I sort of bounced from game to game, is part of what they actually have on the website. If you go to the uvsgames.com/universes, the first thing you hit with is the world of Universes, simple principles, complex interactions, deep strategic gameplay. And it does feel we've lost that a little bit this year because we kind of have had a very super aggressive meta. We went from younger Toguro, I'm going to kill you turn 2, to Godzilla, I'm going to kill you turn 2, to then combine firepower roulette with Elder Toguro, Bakugo, Irwin going, you just die with Godzilla still in there. And
because I feel like something like an Emir is a nice place for things to be, because sure, sometimes Emir draws the nuts and just builds 2 or 3 new training methods turn 1, flips on turn 2, and then kills you, right? Sometimes Emir has those games, but very rarely it's not. But you right? You can choose whether to attack or not attack into it. You can sort of block and break or interact with what Emir is doing. You can choose to play around the building time, maybe have you snipe, or you've got seals to take out their shapeshifters and sort of ruin their turn. There's ways that you can interact with it, and also Emir's got is a 7-hand or a 7-hand. With 7-hand health, I mean, 23 is still quite a lot. But
it shouldn't feel like Magical Christmas Land all the time.
Right? But a lot of the times, a lot of what's going on feels a bit too free. You don't necessarily have to work for it. Emir feels like you do have to work for it. Partly why I'm not hugely great going into this meta. I think Mimic's probably a good place for things to be to an extent. I think sort of any time a character breaks a fundamental rule of the game, there's always a worry there that they'll just be too good. But 2, I think probably is too good, and again has a lot of stuff where you just can't really interact with it because a lot of that power is on that character, which very rarely you get to interact with, and also like discarding stuff to trigger effects. There isn't much that there isn't much ways of interacting with that, and even if there are, they're not generally worth it for the level of effects, right? Do you really want to spend a momentum and commit a incredible display to counter a +2 damage off a discarded foundation? Probably not. So a lot of that feels very uninteractive and just like you just fling and flunge. So yeah, it just feels like we've lost a bit of that back and forth, and I can't necessarily put a finger on where exactly. I think Blitz leads to that a bit, and I think it's one of those things of like we're at a point where I still enjoy the game, I still have a lot of fun with it, and if the trade-off of toning that down a little bit means we get a shit ton more players, I'm okay with that trade-off. But it doesn't feel like that trade-off is happening at the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, one of the good things that has come from Critical Role was the PVE. As we discussed last week, UVS and Universus needs to steer more into that, and I have seen
it's an avenue that's underexplored, and I think will be great.
Well, there's actually been an uptick on Discord, on Reddit, and in other areas like Facebook and stuff of people asking about the Briarwood events because they're a great way to learn the game. They're a great way to sort of like play your decks without having to run the risk of doing this stuff. It's a great teaching opportunity, and it's just been one of the things that I hadn't really noticed until Dan and Cam mentioned it. But actually checking on Reddit and stuff like that, I put up a video about how to actually raid, like how the raid bosses battles actually worked. And people were like, yeah, where can I find the rules? I want to give this a go. I've just started the game. I've just picked it up because of Critical Role. This is a great way for me to learn against myself, essentially. It's a great way for people to learn the game. If they don't have a local store yet or a local play group yet, they can actually learn and develop skills. And because the Briarwoods are not easy opponents.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, that'll be a great way of, if they can build a demo experience into a boss battle, right, would be a great thing, right? If they could have like some sets of demo decks of, level 1 fighters fighting against a boss that's like a kobold, the equivalent sort of thing in Critical Role universe. I think that would be a great way of like you all kind of working with each other. Someone effectively, your store owner, whoever is running your demo, being the GM that is teaching like 2 to 4 people through this demo experience, that they're all working together to fight this boss and learning how mechanics work, right? Again, I think that'll be a great thing to add into the arsenal.
So the 2024, the year's up, 2024, the season's almost up. We've spoken about Nats. Next year's going to be a bit of a weirder one for us because we've only got 3 major events, 2 of which I imagine are going to be UK.
Yeah.
But attending event-wise is going to be a bit harder because you're still saving for your wedding.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be getting married in June, and so having like obviously I need to take a load of time off for that and money for that. So
if you invite Paul, do you think he'll send you some product?
Probably not.
I mean, have you seen the viral video of people that sent wedding invites to CEOs to get stuff?
Yeah, you send them to like CEOs or celebrities or whatever, and it's like, come along, and quite often they'll either, sometimes they'll just send you a cursory gift because, they're rich.
Oh, but we could have the Richard from a wedding regional. You could just invite UVS.
I mean, if Paul is more than welcome to send me a wedding present, I would not say no.
But is he welcome to attend the wedding? That's the question. Is he invited?
Man, it's tough because I want to say yes because I think that obviously he wouldn't come over, and it's
I don't know.
on that
I don't.
1%, that 2% chance he would come
Yeah.
over, the missus would probably kill me. So
So
it's
that's the real
not
question.
worth
Then
it.
is we need you to ask your missus, and then we can find out if Paul's invited to the wedding.
I would say probably not. Again, nothing against Paul, but yeah, I suspect as someone who has obviously missus has never met, probably doesn't want them in the wedding. So,
You're allowed to have your friends at the wedding.
yeah, she's met those people though.
Oh, so I'm not coming.
It's in the post. We are only having a fairly small wedding anyway.
It's.
And also, I couldn't imagine you'd want to drive down for it.
I've got a weird thing with weddings, man. If someone's important to me and they invite me to the wedding, I go. After what happened with my own, so yeah. If you invite me, I will try and get there.
Okay. Well, we can discuss that off stream maybe.
And yeah, we're looking at buying a house next year. So the events I attend will probably have to cut down because all my events are funded by my partner because I am full-time carer, which pays diddly squat.
Yeah, it pays in love.
It pays in whatever the government sees as below minimum wage equivalent. But the big thing is, what is your hopes for next year? Because this is the first year where we know Worlds is only funded to the top 8 point earners, which, given our locals standings and the amount of events we're going to be turning, are probably not going to be us.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not even necessarily looking at it from that competitive side of it. Like, if I can go to some regionals, that'd be great. If not, like this year, I haven't really, but I've still kind of engaged with and had a lot of fun with the game. Hopefully, those Critical Role and Turtles and Guilty Gear and stuff.
Which one are you most hyped for? Which IP of the announcements are you really excited for?
I mean, probably Turtles is the only one I really know. Like, just because I grew up in the 80s, right? So
but we don't know it's that one.
But I know who I can probably sing part of the Turtles theme tune, right? I know that Michelangelo is a party dude, and Raphael is cool but rude, right? I know these things. I know the main characters, so I at least have some sort of basis of knowledge in there. I don't really know Critical Role outside of the Challenger decks. I don't really know what Guilty Gear is, although I believe the boy spent some PlayStation vouchers over Christmas on actually getting Guilty Gear. So he's playing that currently. And obviously, I know AOT from playing AOT sets 1 and 2, so I assume it's going to be sort of more roughly the same. So yeah, I mean, probably the turtle side of it. I think that could be fun and sort of interesting to see what they do in terms of mechanically with that and sort of new stuff with that. I hope they sort of tighten things up a bit in terms of mechanics. I'm really hoping they could dot the I's and cross the T's on stuff next year, right? Things like a proper, comprehensive, excellent rule book and actually nail down those rules, because there's so much fuzziness in the rules that it's just like, yeah, it just sort of works like that. I think, some sort of movement on the judge program, getting like the really nailing and again, part of, I'm really confident that Josh and Eve are going to do this next year, is really nailing that organized play system and really certainly probably even more so at the local level than I am at the regional level. I think those regionals are important, but I really want to see them improve things at the local level.
I want to see more events. I would see more events like teams or retro or challenges. Yeah. Because we're losing regionals. If we could have working with local stores to have, say, working with Gary to have a retro kind of, not regional, but kind of, say, of a name for like a big event which is designed to get people to travel from around the country to come and play, but it's not world points.
Yeah, I mean, that isn't something UVS, I think, would do. I mean, I think it's more that if, let's say, a Gary or a Sean wants to put one of these events on, I'm sure that UVS would be happy to sort of signal boost that sort of thing. But I don't think they'd get themselves involved with it.
I don't know. But I'm talking with Corono and Connor about doing a Eurovision style webcam event.
Right.
Basically, anyone who's taken part in Eurovision, their nationality is allowed to take part in this event, which would mean that everyone apart from NA players would essentially be allowed to play.
Right. Okay.
So Canadians, Australians, EU, UK, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, they'll all be able to. Basically, it's just a non-NA player event.
Okay.
Not quite sure how that got down, but Connor was like talking about it, and after OCE, and I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's just like, because obviously I know like Jacob, for example, over at
Final Round Games.
Final Round, that's the one. So my memory is terrible. Obviously, they put on there, they did like a 3K event or whatever. So it's like you really want those things to work, but it's not. But UVS can't and won't really get involved in those sort of things,
especially with cash prizing. But yeah,
well, it's more that because it's like it's not an official event, right? It will go through UGN and stuff like that, but it's not like part of the official competitive system.
But that's community events are fine, but they don't have the draw of the UVS brand.
Unless it's part of that specific path, it won't have the brand. It might get the signal boosting, but it won't be part of that, right?
But that's what I want. I want, because Josh had teased other events and other stuff coming, and we've got the Scramble and stuff.
Cons, right? So again, I'd imagine there'll be an event at Gen Con. If they go to like PAX or any other con, I'm assuming they'll put on some sort of event.
Hopefully,
it won't be part of that path.
Games Expo and Spielesson might be on the list this time, then.
I mean, maybe. Hopefully, in theory, I will be at UK Games Expo this year. I think that's sort of the plan.
I'm gonna, depending on where regionals fall, I'm gonna try and talk Robin into letting me take Flynn, because Flynn loves his games. He's been designing games on Scratch and stuff.
Well, if you are, then you and because it's quite possible my stag do might be UK Games Expo.
Oh, that's cool.
So I obviously can't be drunk in UK Games Expo, but I'm fully expecting to be in some sort of ridiculous outfit in UK Games Expo.
I've only been once, and it wasn't the best experience. But not because of UK Games Expo, because of stuff going on outside.
Yeah,
but no,
I've never been, so just wanted to go.
It's really good. I mean, it was
the right timing of the year.
Oh yeah, because it's beginning of June, and your wedding's around June. Yeah, that makes sense. The IP I'm really hyped for that is Astro Boy, because for the opposite reason. I know very little about Astro Boy. I know very little about the product we're going to be getting for it. All I know is that Paul mentioned they have the Astro Boy IP, and we know nothing about this. I'm hyped to get more information about that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. Does Astro Boy, is that part of Kodansha, or is that separate?
I'm not. I don't think it is Kodansha. It has been, yeah.
Yes. So it's quite possible that there isn't necessarily a product in the works, but as part of their obviously working together with Kodansha, which obviously they did on Attack on Titan, right? They have access to Astro Boy as a thing they could use. So that might have been part of that agreement.
Yeah, the way that it was worded in the Discord message, it made it sound like they have the license to that IP.
Again, yeah, it might be a case of part of that negotiations, or okay, they were access to Attack on Titan, possibly Astro Boy, and possibly like a few more they've got effectively first dibs on. Obviously, we don't know this.
If we can get a Astro Boy versus Mega Man Challenger, That'd be great. That'd be amazing because you can just like similar to like the Trigun Cowboy. They can reprint Mega Man stuff that they've already done for the Mega Man deck and just make a new character. That gets people a bit more retro cards, and they can have this whole new Astro Boy stuff.
I mean, all I know is that Kodansha have obviously the Ghost in the Shell manga, so I'm really hoping.
Ghost in the Shell, they've got Blue Lock, they've got Fairy Tail, they've got Shangri-La Frontier, and Shangri-La. If we get a Shangri-La Frontier challenger, I am so hyped for that. I'm still watching season 2 now. We just got to an amazing fight, and I love this anime so much. But yeah, I absolutely love it. And this is one of the great things about Universus is it exposes you to IPs you may never have even thought to look at. Like I had heard of Yu Hakusho before, never thought about watching it. Got announced as a set. I thought I'm going to try out the first 5 episodes, and then I ended up binging all 100 and odd episodes, and then the live action series. Critical Role was on my radar as something I might be interested in, and I binged over 400 hours in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm on like episode 7 of campaign 2 within the last 3 days.
And how many campaigns are there?
There's 3 campaigns, plus comics, plus one-shots, plus Dagger Heart. Because the comics do like the origins of the characters and stuff. I don't know how deep down this rabbit hole I go, because the more I listen to Critical Role, the more I just want to play D&D.
That's fair.
It gives you some serious FOMO. The community for the most part is really nice. There's a couple of people on Reddit that seem to have it out for me now because of how much I post, and because me being me, I ask very strange questions about stuff that's gone in the campaign.
I mean, that's Reddit. Like, I don't know, you can't really expect much better or different from Reddit.
But there are some amazing people on Reddit that are very supportive and are genuinely interested in the game. But yeah, it's one of those things that I'm really hyped to see what else comes and to find out more about the TMNT stuff, because we get to expose to all these new IPs and you get to find out all these new fandoms. And as much as the IPs bring players in, the IPs also bring players to these IPs.
Yeah.
There are people that have gone on and watched Solo Leveling or Lower Decks just because of how hyped I am for it. There are people I get to have really hyped conversations with about Critical Role because I started it. It's been really great. And I mean, I'm really excited for the new seasons of the animated series just to see where they go for the later part of the campaign. I'm so hyped for this now. And now that I've finished season 1 of, campaign 1, I'm trying to figure out what content I can make from it. But we're entering preview season for this now.
Yeah, it's not far away now. Like, I don't know when, obviously, that starts. Obviously, you know, UVS games are all on their Christmas holes at the moment. But I'd imagine it's not far away.
I believe Guile said that there's no newsletter next week because everyone's away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, last week was the last Critical Role we're going to get for this year. So the chances are they'll probably start on the 14th for, like, hyping up the product, maybe maybe do some reveals at Nats, do some big reveals at Worlds, or maybe show off over Product Worlds. Wait for Soul Leveling to go down. We've got one more ban list as well before Nats, but I can't see anything getting touched.
I think it's unlikely. I mean, if they think that is a big problem, maybe. I'm not convinced he necessarily is. But I'm also not convinced he necessarily isn't.
The only one I could see them touching is a possible errata on Recovery Girl to say building committed, just to make games not go for 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, if they just want to say Recovery Girl is just rubbish to play against, let's just errata her out the format and nobody will care. Well, I can see that. I don't think it would happen, but
it's just because it creates game states similar to with the foundations where Recovery Girl becomes impossible to kill but can't kill you. So you're sat there for essentially an hour, and if you get there into finals, you could be sat there for absolute hours. And
Yeah, I mean, well, you won't be because again, even now, finals are like they are timed, right?
no, finals are untimed.
Right. Okay.
Top cuts are timed, but finals are untimed.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't think many people will care too much if Recovery Girl gets sent
No,
into orbit.
there's a couple of people that may do, but she's only got a few weeks left until she's out of the format. And I think
Yeah.
for just as fast as the game is at the minute, Recovery Girl is one of those awkward characters that is significantly slowing it back down. But
Yeah, it's just another sort of HP sponge character, right?
yeah, with how much health that can be gained and how well she can just keep building in, it's one of the things that similar to like Immortal Monoma was taken out because that was truly immortal. Pseudo immortal Recovery Girl could probably just do a slight touching and just be like, yeah, we need to make sure games end in a timely fashion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the Monoma thing was like an unintended thing they completely missed and therefore needed to get rid of, right?
Or something they were hoping we wouldn't notice until you rotate it out.
I can't imagine that the case. It would have been almost certainly something they've just missed and didn't realize because no one plays Monoma really.
I mean, is it nobody plays Monoma or nobody plays Rhino? You have to. It's a very, very limited interaction that you have to have Monoma versus Rhino for this to work.
Yeah, I think a little from column A, a little from column B, and sometimes these sort of interactions get missed, right? And that's when they're like truly niche as this one was.
But yeah, I'm hoping that the game grows in the UK, that more stores pick up the game. I've seen people in Portsmouth asking about the game. Hopefully, the store in Southampton finds a new location and reopens, so I can start playing again. Hopefully, Wales starts picking up the game because at the moment I'm kind of in an area again where nobody's really playing, and I would love to get back to playing for fun. And I'm hoping that we see more retro, more challenger, more of these events where it isn't just about getting world's points and you get to just go and hang out with people and have fun. Because as good as it is to top events, this year I have topped the least amount of events I've played, but I've had the most fun because I've just been able to enjoy the social aspect more. I've been able to chat with people. I'm making the content at the venues has mean I've had to talk to more people. I've had to engage with the community more, and it's been great. It's been absolutely amazing to have those meals with Card Goblin and UVS. I think last regionals, the Dobbers, Card Goblin, and ourselves went to the food court in Sheffield, and we just had a massive chat, and we just had a lot of fun chatting. And I'm not the most sociable person. I barely leave my house, if I'm honest. So having these events that I go once a quarter to exercise the majority of my social battery is great because I used to do that at Comic Cons. And if I'm not going to Comic Cons anymore, doing it there, and it's one of those weird things. I was talking like Hitch was saying on Blue Sky that he's going to remove anyone that's too negative. And I was like, oh, I'll watch what I say. And he's like, no, you're too positive. It's like no one has ever accused me of being too positive.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of why I enjoy locals, right? We just turn up and jam games at times, right? And it's fun because we're friends. And sometimes we'll play some sort of sweaty decks when we're trying to practice for something, but mostly we'll just turn up with whatever the shit brew they decided to play that week, right?
When I played Magic and I lived up north, there's a store that's still going called Nerd Shack in Wigan. If you're ever in the Wigan northwest area, go check them out. The guy that owns Andrew, salt of the earth, great guy. And whenever I had a day off from work, I'd just grab my cards, head into town, and I'd sit there from pretty much open till close, playing Commander, playing Standard, cracking packs, having fun with people. And then when I moved to the south, it wasn't the same. People just didn't show up at the start to play. The community was a lot more like sweaty and like and aggressive, and like we have to prepare for events. It's a lot more competitive, and it just wasn't fun. Ended up missing my friends. I ended up missing that interaction, and I stopped playing Magic. And then I picked up Keyforge, and I picked up Gwent, and I picked up other stuff. And this is the only game since those days of Magic where I get that feeling of community. I get that kind of bonds where even if I'm playing through webcam, or if I'm playing through TTS, or I just chat with people, I have that kind of community bond.
Yeah, and to clarify, like it's obviously totally okay if you are, sweaty, so to expend, like so to speak, even like you can be sort of competitive, and that's fine. And like a lot of people are.
Nothing wrong with it.
Like I'd imagine trying to play locals in Rochester is a fucking nightmare.
I imagine Rochester does multiple locals at that point.
I mean, possibly, but also I imagine that again, like people like Tim, like Kevin and stuff are some of the loveliest people. And yeah, it's going to be really hard, and you're probably going to get your butt kicked a lot. But also, they're lovely people. You're going to have fun, and hopefully you'll fall in love with the game.
Yeah, and I imagine also like after like the interactions I've had with Kevin and with Tim, and the fact Tim took a complete meme deck to regionals after he had his invite. They're not always turned up to locals with sweaty decks, not always beating down locals and going, I'm the king of the castle. They will show up with fun decks.
And I'd imagine they are very clear about what their goals are, right? In terms of, we're testing for national/world, whatever. So unfortunately, we're going to be playing, the recovery girls and Rhiners of this world. And
Oh yeah. Well, back when Younger to Go was dominating, and I was trying to get as many points as I could, I turned up to a local qualifier with my Younger to Go deck that I was taking to regionals, and I literally said to the other people playing, "I'm going to apologize for this deck now, but that guy in the corner over there said that he wanted to practice for regionals. I brought this to show him what to expect at regionals." And I got him in like round 1, and I just completely 2-0'd him. And I was like, yeah, if you're coming to regionals, expect to face this non-stop and probably better versions of this.
Yeah, and then obviously he got banned.
He didn't get banned, he got slightly erratic.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically banned, right? Like that because they don't actually ban characters, but it's
he still turned up in a top 8 regional after the errata. That's not a ban.
Yeah, basically, though. But yeah, like, I think it's been a good year. Just overall, like, I think just more of the same, and just sort of, like I say, work on those smaller things.
But for yourself, as a person, as a player, what New Year's resolution do you have for yourself, or what like goal do you have for yourself?
I mean, again, it would be nice to sort of find the time, and I guess the sort of not like enthusiasm, but like the inspiration to do stuff, like more stuff on the channel, right? Because like I do deck profiles obviously every so often. When I think there's one that's interesting or that I've been having fun with. But like I don't tend to find, I guess, the sorts of motivation and inspiration to do other stuff. So yeah, maybe try and sort of look for that next year, maybe.
Get Gary and the guys to start up a second podcast of your own.
I mean, they've got their own sort of. They do a board games thing every so often on like Tuesday nights.
That's cool then.
Where I mean, it's more just they stream stuff basically.
Oh, I think I'm sure I follow Gary's Meeple account on Twitch. That's right.
Yeah, I think they. Yeah, I think it's like on. I mean, I think they've sort of had a bit of hiatus the last few weeks just because Christmas time. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the other problem with that is obviously a lot of certainly the first half of this year. I'm obviously going to be very busy.
Yes.
And I think if I'm not, it's going to be a very, very short wedding, or at least a very short marriage.
So what we do is I come to the wedding and we podcast from your wedding reception.
Again, I think that is a way to get a very short marriage.
For me, next year I want to explore more content. I've had a couple of ideas, primarily on like the critical role bosses. I might reach out to some of the content creators that players don't know, and see if they want to do like a versus the Briarwood events where I play the Briarwood and I get to know these. Like it's Anna Margaret, the amazing cosplayer, works for UVS, was at PAX. I don't know how many players know her content.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess it'd be maybe interesting to see if there's sort of any like critical role specific content creators out there that not obviously affiliated or do anything UVS related at all. But if there's any of those out there that we could get on to talk about just critical role itself.
I could ask Snuggy. Snuggy does Universus content as well, but he's a massive crit head. I would love to get like Liam O'Brien or Mauricio or Laura Berry, any of the Critical Role cast.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can but ask, right? And they can but say no. But yeah, it'd be good to like,
I have not got the confidence. I think
just someone that maybe is in that space, in a sort of style of the Yu-Gi-Oh player rates whether these magic cards are actually good type thing of just sort of getting a critical role person say
depending on who
cards are really good, that sort of thing.
So if we end up getting picked for the reveals, I might reach out to the voice actor for the character and see if they want to come on. Which would be really weird if we got like Laura or Kima, because that's just Matt Mercer.
Yeah, again, all they can do is say sorry, no.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, it's supposed to be. I'm going to try and be a bit more bold and like reaching out to more people. My main goal is to get someone from design on here, so we can actually talk about the translation of IPs. If I'm just reaching with things like my Vexalia comparisons, like forgetting Mark Your Prey is a direct comparison to how Laura Bailey played Vexalia, and that she used to forget the triggers a lot, and how well they adapted things like Jester and Not, and how much of the actual IP. I really want to talk to design, and I've always had like an open invite if anyone from design wants to come on. Because it's one of those things that I want to get more into it. Creative is always welcome, and creative they're always welcome. So it's one of those things that I'm going to try and be a bit more crazy with my content next time. But at the same time, I do end up finding myself kind of inspiration locked, because I feel like I have to create these crazy theories, but sometimes there just isn't any.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I think it's just, again, it just comes down to doing shit you enjoy doing, really. And I think that's the sort of content creation as a whole, is that you sort of can't force it, because then it's obviously not what's the authentic. Like, I think an audience can tell that and see that.
It's one of the things that we were talking about last week. If we're passionate about our content, through our content, people pick up on it more than if we try and form it in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's sort of why sometimes I don't do stuff, because I'm like, what's the point of forcing something if I don't really have something that I think is worth saying?
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I would love to talk about Critical Role more. I've even been considering like trying to reach out to people to set up a second podcast just talking about Universus and Critical Role. because I have acquired so much knowledge I need to get out now.
Yeah, again, at least with Critical Role, I guess I have at least a basis in I understand D&D, which is obviously the basis of the IP.
Yeah, for me, it's more the way D&D kind of works in Critical. I don't think we're going to see too many D&D aspects. I really don't think we're going to see the level up system as much as some people are. I think classes might have some really interesting aspects because we've got like Ranger, we've got Hunter, we're going to have we've got Hunter Sungeon, we've got Ranger with Vexalia. I think we're going to see Mage and stuff could become a lot more prevalent. We're going to may even see some exclusive kind of like Mage blitzes or responses.
Yeah, in the same way we got things like 1A only type stuff in
Yeah.
or pro hero lock stuff. I imagine we might see some of that sort of come back.
I've been meaning to record what I think the characters are going to do for Vox Machina, and now I've finished it. It's just whether I can get it recorded, edited, and uploaded before the characters start getting previewed. Because, for example, Grog, Strongjaw, Barbarian, immediately to me, Barbarian raging, my head goes half damage and unblocked attacks. That's a Barbarian rage right there. Easy on a card, static effect, unblocked attacks deal half damage to Grog Strongjaw.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just sort of trying to guess where the headspace of design were when they were building it, right?
Yeah. But that was like kind of the biggest thing throughout Vox Machina was Grog rage, Grog take half damage.
Yeah, and again, they've been reasonably good at like translating those, the IP based stuff into cards. So,
Oh yeah.
We'll just have to see.
One of the cool
where they
things
go
I
with it.
found, one of the cool things I did pick up on going through it is there's a reason that the Vex and Vax deck had Mark Your Prey. Because Vax can also cast Mark Your Prey. He picks it up as a skill when he becomes a paladin.
Okay.
So it's really cool that they put it in there. He doesn't get it. He doesn't use it as much as Vexalia does, but the fact that his deck contained Mark Your Prey when he picked that up as a skill that he could use is just a great little nod to the cards themselves. Like, oh, it's in there because he can cast that spell.
Okay, even though, like, again, it's not necessarily obvious, I suppose, from the way the deck's put together, in that it feels like a very sort of just for that one character.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
then
mean,
if you know the sort of the deep lore, it does make more sense.
yeah, it's one of those things that with things like Yu Hakusho and My Hero and stuff like that, the more you know about the IP, the more you can respect and get the inside jokes of the cards. So that's why I really wanted to do Critical Role, because I know how passionate the team of UVS has been making the cards and how hard Matt has been looking for advertisement, everything that's been going on there. So I thought I'm going to binge this IP. And yeah, after going through, like, even with the little bits I've got into Mighty 9, the Jester and Not cards also make so much sense. I had to double check that there wasn't a card called Reluctant Healer, because I swore after listening to like a Mighty 9 episode where they kept calling Jester Reluctant Healer, I was like, that is a card name. I'm sure I've heard Reluctant Healer.
Yeah, I mean, the moment you say that, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a card name.
But it's not. It's not. You got Reluctant Role Model and you got Reluctant Retreat. But I bet it's gonna be a card name. I bet Reluctant Healer is gonna be a card now.
Maybe, but yeah, the moment you said that, I'm like, are you sure they're not a card?
Yeah, it's not. It's not. I checked. No. It's the most card-sounding conversation they've ever had. But yeah, just as a healer that forgets that they can heal. It's brilliant.
I mean, I did an entire campaign like that once as playing D&D, where I was a cleric that just refused to heal. for moral reasons.
If I ever play D&D, I'm going to play a warlock whose deal was given to a couple that went through a binding ceremony, and then they got a divorce. So essentially, you're the divorced kid of two patrons that either try to one-up each other or punish you for using their abilities. Like, if you kill a dungeon boss using one of the other patrons' ability, the first patron gets really pissy with you and doesn't give you any of the powers. And it's like, no, don't compliment me on my powers, right? Because one of them's going to get pissed. And it's just like, you're essentially you're playing with divorced parents.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to see where they go with that stuff. Like, what is it? March release date? So yeah,
March 7th, because apparently Critical Role and myself share a birthday, which is March 12th.
So yeah, we should be seeing preview season in I'd imagine January. I'd be very surprised if not. And
preview season's kind of already started with the
we've had a few.
But once they're back from holiday, so say January 6th, we might start seeing stuff come out about content reveals and stuff like that. But I imagine because Worlds is on February 14th, they kind of need to have the majority of previews done before then, because people are going to have product then.
Yes, unless they want to, that's a special bonus that the World's competitors get, is they get first look at some cards before anyone else does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible they want to do that.
Once they see them, everybody sees them.
Well, yes, obviously, but that might be just something that a little kind of bonus that they're going to get of, similar to how sort of where the HLC. Obviously, we got to see a bunch of previews then for.
But all the cards had been previewed before then.
No, these were secret rares, right? That nobody had seen at that point. So, for example, Hold Hostage.
No,
and Smash. Nobody had seen.
No, but I'm sure every single card of League of Villains had been previewed before the first HLC, because we had the preview event that we took part in on the Friday.
Yeah, because that happened at that point is that people were pulling stuff that had been seen, and then it was shown on the stream and stuff.
Oh.
As part of it was...
I know that we got the class promos, the extra credit promos that were previewed, because Leno got that image with me with... League interview.
Yeah, but no. I remember Hold Hostage and United States of Smash were definitely previewed at that event.
Fair enough. Right, we're approaching 2 hours, and I'm still a little bit ill.
So I guess we'll call it a show there.
Yeah.
So overall, I think, like I say, it's been a good 2024, and just continue, I guess, onwards and upwards in 2025. Really,
it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. It's been lots of ups and downs, lots of shocks and turmoils, and UVS giving me heart attacks, banning Twisty Azure, and then banning it again.
I mean, it had its time in the sun and probably should have gone a long time ago. So rip to a card that should have been banned a long time ago.
It was fine. It died for combined firepower sins.
But so obviously, and I guess this time of year, we'd just to say thank you to everyone that supported us, right?
Yeah.
So to all those that have watched, subbed, liked, commented, subscribed, all that stuff on all of our channels. Thank you very much. Because if it was just Two Men and a Dog watching, we probably wouldn't be bothering this anymore. But hopefully we are putting out stuff that you will enjoy to watch, and we'll continue to do so next year. But yeah, thanks to everyone for watching and supporting the channel.
Big thanks to everyone who's guested, who's collaborated. Big thanks to UVS for the support, the products, everything that they've done to light a kind of fire under us to make this content. Big shout out to all the other content creators making their content that have given up their time to come chat with us and to do tier lists or commentate events or just chat with us. Big thank you to all of our opponents and people that we've played against throughout the year, win or lose. I'm sure they were fun games regardless. And as Rich said, thanks to everyone who's been here to watch us, support us, comment, like, subscribe, tell us our opinions are wrong or agree with us. And I'm sure that we'll have more opinions next year. And I'm sure mine will be
that's one thing we're never short of, right? Is opinions.
Yeah, I'm sure mine will be just as accurate as usual, and yours will be just as mid as usual.
I think you'll find that City Rampage is completely overrated.
No, see, because people are coming around. People are coming around. There's been more people complaining about City Rampage, and they're saying that Determined Advance is the reason. I'm like, I called this. I knew this was coming, and people are starting to complain about City Rampage.
City Rampage, I think I'm not even sure it's good in Godzilla.
If you can go City Rampage into Determined Advance, you can really pop off in a turn. We're wrapping up. Don't get me started on this. This will have to be a separate thing. But people are coming around, and I was ahead of the curve on this one.
I'm not sure you're right still, but anyway. So yeah, obviously, yeah. Thanks everyone for watching along. Obviously on Twitch. Obviously, if you watch this on YouTube, do all the things as usual. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks very much for your support over the year. And yeah, we will see you in 2025.
Yeah. Keep an eye out on New Year's Eve. I've got a very special 2.5-minute video going up with clips and stuff that throughout the year that I've taken from our content. It made me a little astonished to realize how much we'd actually done. Mm-hmm. But like I said, we'll see you in 2025. Thanks for the support, and we hope you'll continue to support us.
Peace out.
Bye.